Hey everybody, Cahlen here, and today I'm going to be walking through the electronic situation on the solar electric bike. Got an email from someone who just purchased themselves a Rad Rover, which is the base bike that I'm using, and they're going to try and do a very similar thing to me, so I just sent them an email with the instructions, but thought it would be useful to actually show it in a video, and maybe the rest of you will find it interesting as well. So let's take a closer look. So I'm using, this is a 50 watt solar panel, and this is a 100 watt solar panel, and I use that because the actual charger it comes with charges at 150 watts, so I figured I'd just match that. And you can see the cables run from here and they run down kind of through the actual cabling of the bike to hold them in place, and I also use zip ties, and then they connect here. This is a kind of a special connector for connecting two solar panels together. So this is the front solar panel and this is the back solar panel. And then they are merged in parallel into one cable, which goes up and into a hole I made at the bottom of this pack. And so that's happening on both sides to get the plus and the minus. So now we're looking inside the pack. I have flipped up the back solar panel. And this is the most important part, and it's kind of an expensive part. This is a solar charge controller, and it is custom built to be 54.6 volts. It has to be at those volts, and when you buy this from the company, you have to tell them that's what you want. And that might actually cost a little extra too. Okay, so these cables here, they connect to the battery. This is what charges the battery. You can see I've got a little. So this is the cable that wire is going to, and you can find these on Amazon. You basically just find one and you cut it, and then you split the wire. You split the wire and then you put it in to the battery side. And then if you're just using a normal Rad Rover battery pack, most of these cables will just plug in. I'm actually using, because I have a custom battery, this here is actually used to be the other side of this cable. I just cut it in half. So this is going in and connecting to the battery. Just a little side note, I've got this little thing which takes 54.6 and can bring it down to any voltage I want underneath that, which means I can power anything under 54.6 volts, which means anything that would run on a car battery or anything that would be like USB. So it's a handy little tool. And also, if you're going to have a custom battery, it's going to be good to have yourself a voltmeter. So for my build, I actually built my own battery, but I don't actually recommend that people do that. I actually wished that what I had done was kept the batteries normally right here, and I had two of them. I wish I just kept those batteries intact instead of taking them apart and building one, and then just leaving one that's powering the bike on here, and then putting another one in the back and having it charge on the solar while I'm using the other one, and then just swapping them in and out. It's going to save you a lot of headaches because it is a pain in the butt to build a battery and to make sure that it's maintained properly and it's safe. It's actually extremely dangerous to build your own battery. So I definitely recommend just having two, charging one in the back. You can even have one. You can even just have one battery, and that cable I showed you that went in to charge the battery from the charge controller, if you get it long enough, you can run it all the way along the bike and down into the charge port of your battery and be charging your battery while you're driving. So if any of you do want to make your own custom battery and you want to clear up this space, I cleared up this space because I'd like to put a frame pack here eventually. Usually the battery's sitting right here, and there's this rail here which I had to remove. So if you are going to do your own custom battery, I do recommend doing that unless you want to be able to go back to a normal Rad Rover battery. And you can do that just by removing the rail, and then there is a wire that's coming up here in this little hole, and I just cut it and spliced it into these, and these go right into the battery. So this is running down from the battery into, it's going down and coming up into this computer right here. This is the computer for the bike basically, and it basically determines, it links up with the LCD that's in front of you while you're riding, and determines how much electricity is going to be sending to the actual engine or the motor, the electric motor, which is in the hub of the wheel. So And for those of you who want to make your own battery, I'm also going to take that out right now and talk about that a little bit. So this is what it looks like with the lid off. These are here just to keep it from bouncing around. Because of the way this is built, the cells can get disconnected from each other, which is not a good situation, so you gotta cushion it as much as you can. And this is where it connects to the actual bike. And again, this is where it charges. And I'll pull this thing out now. Okay, here's the battery. And you can see it's kind of a little bit of a weird setup, but we'll talk about the basics of it. These are 18650 battery cells, lithium. And these are the same things you can find in a lot of flashlights, a lot of different tools, including like hand tools. They'll have several of these in them. And like power tools, I mean. And there's basically 13 of them in series. Series means that you're alternating. So the energy is flowing this way, right? All the way. And every time you go through a cell, it adds the voltage of that cell. So it's 13 times 4.2, because one cell is 4.2, times 13 brings us up to 54.6, which is what the bike has to be at. And then you can add cells. I got tape over it, you can't see it, but the cells, there's I think 10 rows here, and these are in parallel, and these rows basically add just more capacity for the bike. And so these are called Vruzend, these V-Z-R-U-Z-E-N-D, I think, V-R-U-Z-E-N-D, and it's basically a kit for making your own battery. And it's a really nice kit. It just has, because you can take the battery apart whenever you want to. And if you do it the safest way, you know, by actually soldering your battery, then you're not going to be able to take it apart very easily. But unfortunately, this has the downside of these connectors sometimes not holding tightly enough to the battery and actually disconnecting one of the cells somewhere in the pack, which can cause you some serious problems, especially if it's left that way for a long period of time. So if you have this Vruzend, then you really need to have a voltage meter and be checking on your cells all the time. I used to have what's it called? A battery management system. This is the battery management system, which is on an actual Rad Power Bike battery. I pulled this out of the battery. This thing, it blew up. It no longer works, so it's just sitting there. I'm going to take it off at some point. But it's not really necessary if you're actually managing if you're paying attention to the voltages. And now this is the weird part. So because of the problem with these getting disconnected, I had to figure out a way to keep them tightly together. And you can see I have wood on the top and the bottom. And they're held with Velcro straps, and then I use what do you call these? You know, one of these things. You guys know what these are. I don't know why I can't remember. Anyways, I just have it starting over here, wrapping around one, wrapping around another one, wrapping around another one, wrapping around another one, and then tying itself. So it's getting these really nice and tight so that they are holding the cells together, and it's working pretty good. And it also makes it so it's fairly safe for me to take this battery out and stand or even jump on it and to kind of push all the cells together if they've disconnected. And one last thing I'll mention, so this is the charge port, you can see, but you'll notice I have a fuse here, and this is probably too high. 30 amps is probably too high. This should probably be more like 10. This is basically if this cable gets shorted for any reason and there's nothing like this, then I'm going to have a serious problem. I'm either going to destroy my battery or I'm going to have a fire hazard. And that's especially the case, well, I guess it's actually equally the case, but these cables are a little thicker, so that danger is even stronger because these cables can hold a lot more power before they just dissolve into nothingness. So, of course, have another one here. So that's the rundown on the electrical system of the solar electric bike. If you're going to do something like this, again, I highly recommend do not build your own battery. It's a cool project, but it makes this probably 10 times harder than it needs to be. If you just do the thing where you use the batteries that come with the bike, maybe get an extra one, then it's actually an extremely simple and safe setup. and you won't be ruining the warranty on your bike parts. You might, if you charge it while you're running the bike, that might, on the same battery that you're running the bike with while you're running the bike, then you might actually void the warranty. But other than that, I think your warranty is going to be good. So anyways, that's the, I guess I'll show you, in case you're going to do 100 watt on back. I used to do 50 watt back here, but basically you're just going to need some sort of metal bars, like thin metal bars, so you want them to be fairly sturdy. And I just tie them to the frame of the bag right here, you can see. And then the yellow, you can see, is actually tying this solar panel to the top. And it actually works pretty good. The Velcro holds this bar in place while I'm driving. And so it's a very simple setup, but it's also extremely sturdy. So anyways, that's a rundown on the electrical system. Hope it was interesting, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll share it with someone that you care about. It helps them, it helps me, and it'll help you feel like a healthy type of person. If you're feeling extra generous, you can head on over to cahlen.org/gift, and there you can basically learn of ways to help me feed myself, shelter myself, and to upgrade and repair my gear. All donations give you the option of having a 1-hour life coaching call with me. So, thanks again for watching.